Before we kick off, let's go through the obligatory housekeeping for our Zoom call. Firstly, please keep your microphones muted so that the speakers presenting are disturbed. We're also recording this session, as you were notified just then. So if you're not comfortable having your cameras on because of that, that's absolutely fine. But otherwise, it would be lovely to see faces. We'll have time for questions to the panel at the end of the session. So if any session like questions pop up as we're going through, if you want to just note them down and then save them for the end. However, if it can't wait, do feel free to pop it in the chat and one of us who aren't speaking will do our best to answer you. We'll be going straight into the presentations in a few minutes with 15 minutes for Q&A at the end. And this is our fourth event of the month. We have our final event next Tuesday at 5, so we'll send a sign-up link for that in the follow-up email after the event if you would like to come to that one too. And the aim of this month, brilliantly organised by Sarah and everyone else who has contributed to speaking during the events, it's to focus on sharing best practice between trainers and the project, growing skills and confidence in common areas of your roles. And we're also recording each session so that we build our trainer resources at the same time, so you can refer to them when you need to. This event in particular is all about building skills to promote yourself and your courses with tips and tricks from people who are really experienced in this area, as we know it can be very difficult to get engagement and sign-ups at times. Our lovely speakers today include Lucia Simmons, the project's lead on marketing and comms, and 3 very experienced certified CLTs. So we've got Malin Cunningham, founder of marketing consultancy Hattrick and a CL trustee as well. After Malin, we'll hear from Anne Snelson, who founded the training and comms consultancy Lead with Sustainability. And last but not least, Emma Norton, a wonderful trainer who leads carbon literacy at Manchester City Council. The council have just achieved Gold CLO, so with a headcount of around 7,000, you can understand how that is no small feat. So without further ado, I'm going to hand straight over to Lucia, who's going to kick off the event. I hope everyone enjoys it.
Thanks, Nicole. Hi, everyone. I'm Lucia. I'm the marketing and comms lead at the project. Nice to meet you all. I've been at the project for 4 years now, overseeing our marketing and comms. So just to start, I'm going to give a short intro or a reminder for many of you of what support we offer at the project for marketing your course. So we offer all courses open to the public the opportunity to be listed on our events page, which is hosted by Patagonia Action Works, but it's accessed via the events section of our website. And once you've listed your course, you can let us know and we'll get it uploaded here. Patagonia Action Works also run some limited paid social media ads for these courses if they're in Europe on our behalf at no cost to you. And these are run through Reddit and Snapchat, so you can see a couple of examples here. And keywords can be used to target these to your particular audience. We do have a budget of how many we can run each month, so priority is given to certified consultants and trainers for these. We also list upcoming courses happening over the next month in our monthly newsletter. Again, space is limited in this, so priority is given to those certified consultants and trainers again for this. We do also do some organic social media promotion. So we run a monthly upcoming courses post on our LinkedIn and Instagram. And for this, we select 3 to 4 courses happening in the upcoming month to reflect a range of courses and audiences that carbon literacy is for. And we want to give all trainers a chance for their courses to be featured in this. So it's not limited or priority isn't given to anyone. We've also recently started a new series where we feature newly accredited courses. So these don't necessarily have to be open courses. So they could be a closed course for a particular audience, and we'll always seek the trainer's permission if this is the case or for anyone. But this just gives independent trainers who are running closed courses for a particular industry the opportunity to promote their services to other potential clients as well. So I'm going to come back to questions at the end and keep going, just seeing one in the chat. But yeah, of course, none of this guarantees sign-ups, and really it is down to you to market your course and stand out from the crowd and in your particular industry. So how can you do that? So sticking with social media then, so social media can be a really valuable channel for organic, so no cost promotion. So first thing you want to do is think about your goals though. If you've just had your course accredited, for example, it might be just raising awareness. If you've been running your course for a while, it might be boosting signups. And if you're an independent trainer, it might be around attracting new clients and showing your expertise. You want to think about your particular audience as well, so what platforms they're on and what messages might land with them. And to do this, you can start with research, so just observational, seeing what other trainers are doing, or experimental, so you can run polls, for example, on LinkedIn and in Instagram stories, and see what people want to hear from you, what your audience is interested in. And don't forget about engaging as well. So interacting with others on social media in your field can be just as valuable as posting. So you want to be commenting on people's posts, adding your insights. So for example, if you run a course for the transport sector, you want to be looking out for posts about emissions, for example, in the transport sector, and perhaps thinking about adding a comment about insights that you've gained from running your course and showing up authentically in that space and gaining visibility there. So whatever marketing you're doing, if that's on social media or other channels, it's going to involve creating some content. So what might this content look like if it's not just sign up for our course? So introductory content is really valuable. So introducing who you are and what you do, not just if you're starting out. Reintroduction can also be really valuable as well. Don't assume people know who you are and what you do, or assume that people know what carbon literacy is and what the carbon literacy project is. Explaining that can give credibility to your course as well. So some examples here of what that might look like from a few different trainers, introducing what carbon literacy training is or who they are as a, in this case, sustainability consultancy who also offer carbon literacy training, or from a group of trainers from Lighthouse there, and using a carousel, a visual set of images to explain who you are and what you do. The second kind of content then that you could try out is educational content. So focusing on why organisations in your sector or why people within your organisation should be taking climate action. And you can utilise awareness days for this. So there's lots of green awareness days, but there might also be specific awareness days within your sector to talk about these topics and take a slightly different angle and tie into existing conversations. Also explaining how carbon literacy can help individuals within your organisation or organisations within your sector take action. Obviously, we know, especially in the current climate, people want solutions, and we all know that carbon literacy is all about helping people discover those solutions. So always, as we do with our training, keeping educational content action focused. So again, some examples of some trainers who've done this kind of content. So Green Arts Oxfordshire, tapping into Earth Day, and Positive Planet here, doing a carousel about Net Zero Week and actions that you can take to start your journey. The final kind of content I wanted to mention then was social proof content. So content that's going to show the impact of your training. So testimonials and pledges from your past participants. Of course, you want to make sure you've got permission to share these. So you can add it to your evidence form or your collation process to get these testimonials or get the permission to share these testimonials. And you want to be highlighting specific outcomes of the training and the practical applications. So it makes it tangible for others to see how carbon literacy can support action. And you can collaborate with the individuals within your organisation or with the organisations if you're an independent trainer to share this collaboratively and increase your reach and your audience and make it more authentic again. So some final examples then of what this might look like in practice, a testimonial from Lighthouse about some training within the healthcare sector. And then from Speak Carbon, they run a Pledge of the Month series, similar to like we do at the project, where they highlight a top action that's come out of training that month and showing the practical application of carbon literacy by that individual in their workplace. So everything I've covered in this short section is available in existing resources we have. This trainer tips blog and a guidance we have about running a social media campaign, which Sarah's going to share in the resource pack after this session. We're also in the process of creating a trainer comms pack to support your promotion on different channels when you're starting out. But that's everything from me for now. If you've got any questions, obviously we'll come to them at the end, but you can get in touch with me after. But for now, I'm going to pass over to our great trainers.
Oh, Malin, I don't know if you're speaking, but if you are.
Sorry, I just realised I couldn't unmute myself when I was in full screen. So, hi everybody. Thanks, Lucia, that was great. You've obviously talked, sort of covered quite a broad range of topics, and I'm just going to do a deep dive into audiences and your own profile with some quite quick fire tips for you all. And just before I dive in, I'll just explain who I am and why I'm here. So I'm Malin Cunningham, and I run a PR and thought leadership agency. And we are firmly in this space. We help businesses sort of unlock growth and also build their brand with credibility. And we do that with PR thought leadership, and obviously then also carbon literacy training. And we're also a B Corp. And as I said, this quick session is about thinking about your audience as a starting point, but also some tips on how to build your profile in this space. So the first thing to say is that obviously not all sort of stakeholders or all your audiences care about carbon literacy for the same reason. And I think this is one of the key challenges when it comes to building your profile and attracting sign-ups, because we're thinking about perhaps the things that we care about, but not necessarily how carbon literacy translates into different roles. And that's what I'm going to walk you through. So for instance, then, if you're thinking from a business point of view and you are promoting your course externally, the senior team or the execs, they will be thinking about their reputation and leadership, and also obviously this, the risk protection for the organization. Operations, they are all about delivery. So how can the training help them deliver the results and deliver on the plans that have been put together. For HR, that might be about people and culture. And then sales and marketing, that's more about obviously credibility and edge. So I'm just going to dive into all of these in a little bit more detail to spell it out. And obviously I said that this is, I was coming at this from an external perspective, because we are training people that are not in the business, but outside the business. But obviously this profiling will still help if you're delivering internally. So honing in then on business leaders and somebody at sort of that board level or a very senior leader, as I said, the hook for them is around leadership and risk protection. They don't want to be caught out by climate scrutiny, and they might have put sort of big pledges out there in terms of what they're going to achieve. And the way to then sort of sell the carbon literacy training is that it helps protect the board. It gives you some credibility, and it will allow you then to lead the sector rather than lag behind. And we think then that a key action for them, as in terms of securing training, would maybe be booking some a meeting with them or some kind of briefing, and keeping the briefing sort of really light touch and high level, and show how the training fits into their bigger picture. And obviously, Lucia talked about testimonials. I've just shown some of the testimonials that we have gathered and how you could use them to bring them to life against each of these profiles. The next one then is operations or sustainability. So they are obviously under pressure to turn the strategy, all those words, into real results and something that's measurable. And as we all know, this is where carbon literacy really delivers, with the action plans, etc. So, you know, it's positioning then carbon literacy as a way to drive measurable reductions, you know, get the team on board, simplify where the business is going, and how you can then scale change across departments or supply chains. And for them, it might be, you know, the call to action might be, you know, set up a call, or, you know, show them how they can explore a course for a custom rollout. So it's about execution, not necessarily strategy. They want to see how and why this will work for them. Next, we have HR. And for them, obviously, people is at the heart of what they do. So it's about attracting and keeping that top talent. And it's also then about, you know, boosting engagement and retention. So carbon literacy will help with that, you know, will embed climate action into onboarding and learning. And it will help create these climate champions at every level of the business. So again, you know, this is about execution and showing how the business can deliver on the targets that they have set. And, you know, as a CTA could be, or the call to action could be, you know, offer, you know, start with a small group of people in the business and show how you can then scale that across the organization. Then the final group is sales and marketing. So obviously they are all about winning new customers and retaining customers, but also avoiding greenwash perhaps, because we know that there's loads of nervousness about that out there. So the message here then is that literacy builds trust, it sharpens your value propositions, and will help give them an edge in bids and tenders, and particularly for businesses working in the public sector, for instance, that could really give them stand out. And for them, it might be that you start with, you know, helping them upskill the team and then sort of build from there. And all of this then will help them feel more confident talking about, you know, what they're doing without any of the risks. And then sort of flipping then back to you as trainers and helping you build your own profile. And this can feel really difficult, especially if you're not used to it, or you don't sort of like the sort of shining a light on what you do in the limelight, so to speak. But there are lots of things that you can do to make a real difference. I've tried to keep it really simple. So one thing to do then might be like sharing an insight or a mini case study, maybe weekly, depends on how, you know, how many assets you've got already. Perhaps co-hosting some events with some partners. So we have collaborated with a number of different people, and you know, put together, you know, reports and all those kind of things. You don't have to go that far, but obviously by collaborating with somebody, it not only increases your reach, but it also, you know, builds credibility for what you're doing. And then it's about networking and getting involved with the broader carbon literacy community, because there's loads of things going on, and, you know, people are sharing hints and tips all the time. So to just get going straight away, the idea here is that you just start somewhere, because that can all seem quite overwhelming. So maybe think about one of your audiences and how are you going to attract them, and what you're going to say to them. Pick one of the hooks for them, and then maybe just one of the profile actions. So maybe start by collecting your testimonials, or, you know, posting something on social, and that will soon add up. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Fabulous. Thanks ever so much, Malin. And great to hear those ideas. I was given channels to look after, so most of my talk is about the channel side of things. I'm Anne Snelson. I set up my own consultancy, Lead with Sustainability, after doing carbon literacy project training about nearly 3 years ago. And most of my background prior to that was in the transport and telecoms and built environment areas. So what marketing channels are there? I do know about this. I, for my sins, was a distance learning tutor for the diploma in marketing. I have to say that if you want beautiful design, please go to Malin and Lucia. If you want theory, then I can help you. But this just goes to prove that you can do marketing without beautiful design. It does help though. Do things like Canva, use things like Canva. They also help too. So really my key question to you is, where are your customers and how can you find them? These are all the different routes that you might use, including other there as well. And I thought it would really help Lucia, apart from anything else, in terms of what collateral to produce. If we just do a little quick poll. So there's a QR code there or a slido.com number. I've added in what my main marketing channel is just to test the system. So don't worry, I was very hot off the go there. So if you can just add that in now, just as I say, take the QR code or join at slido.com, and hopefully you'll be able to add which is your most effective marketing channel. Okay, interesting. I'll keep going a little bit longer. You can keep voting afterwards, but because of time constraints, I'll maybe move on. Sorry. So I'll go back and get the results of that in a minute. And really, I just want to question, are you 100% sure that that's the best one? Because one of the things I've found is that sometimes your audience may not actually be where you think that they are. So if you're trying and trying and trying on one channel and not getting anywhere, then maybe try a different channel too. That's just a thought. Okay, and really one of these well-known quotes, so half the time for me, because I don't spend money on this, that I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is I don't know which half, and that's so true. Again, if you aren't getting joy with these things, hopefully just keep going, try a few different strategies, and that's what this talk is about. So what do you say? Well, the key question here is really, what are the messages that are going to resonate most with your prospects? And are there pain points you can fix? And both Lucia and Malin have covered some of those. I tend to find that these five areas are quite good. So what are the impacts on their business? Think about that. Is there legislation that's going to impact them or is already impacting them? Profit growth is always a good one. I know that overall we don't want to be encouraging that massively. We need a sustainable world, but businesses are still focused on that, particularly for profitability in the B2B world. Reporting is quite a big one, obviously for the largest companies. And I do quite a lot just around simple education, because I think that that's one way of getting people on board. There are multiple ways to be and become an expert. Yes, as Malin said, networking is critical, really. I've used podcasts and webinars quite a lot, certainly in the early days, although it was very nerve-wracking. It did mean that I could demonstrate my authority in this area and show what I know. And actually, they were really quite good fun as well. Sometimes you may feel that the audience isn't big enough to warrant it, but actually, just the fact that you have taken part in these things shows that somebody else sees you as an expert. I don't do blogs and newsletters, but many trainers do, I know. I've found groups like WhatsApp and Facebook really good too, if you can get in on those, and quite often that links back to networking. So again, that is a good way of getting people who are bought into sustainability and what we need to do. And events, obviously, as well. If you can get involved in those, that's another way of meeting lots of people. And they say on average, it takes 7 touches to make a sale. And I don't think that that is unreasonable. This one, as I say, my design work are not up with Malin and Patrick, but hopefully, things that add humor as well are good for attracting attention and getting people on board. And really, it's about showing who you are. That's what people need to know. I find that what I find interesting, others tend to as well. It is a balance between engaging people and promoting your courses. If you promote your courses all the time, I think you'll find that social media starts downgrading your impressions. So I would say be subtle if you can, but not too subtle. And I'm quite often in danger of talking a lot about what we can do and not really promoting my courses more. So the reminder to me is actually that I do need to talk about my training as well. It is a conversation. So the more you engage people, the more people see who you are, the more likely they are to, dare I say, buy from you. Having influential friends really helps. I got this amazing viral LinkedIn post literally months after I'd started, when I had a lot of time to think about my posts and I was doing some social media tryouts. 1,500 reactions, 150,000 impressions, 234 reposts, and comments like, and for Prime Minister were quite nice. I haven't managed it since. I know Emma Burlow had one last week about just bonfires in her neighbour's garden. You cannot tell what social media will magnify and what it won't. But really, as I say here, for me, it was this John Moorhead who basically tagged in the world on the bottom of my post. So this is my meme for this one. As Lucia said right at the beginning, engage with other people. It's critical for getting your post seen. And basically, it's good for understanding where other people are coming from too. Another query really around your channels is, what stuff do you like creating? All social media are now promoting videos, reels and photos. I have to say sometimes it drives me a little potty. I'm possibly a bit old for it all, but some platforms are obviously very image focused, like Instagram. And all I would really say is that, again, in the early days, I spent lots of time making pretty images. And these days I have less time for it. So I tend to make them a lot simpler. If you can vary them, then that is really good because it will get you more views. I would also say just try not to overthink things. I like this meme on the right-hand side. If you're working with different people, quite often you get as many views as the different people that you're asking. Some things go well, some things bomb. I know we all get dopamine hits from those likes and interactions, but ultimately people will have forgotten about it by tomorrow. So this is really my final slide, which is just to say, if at first you don't succeed, try again, unless you're skydiving. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please do connect. And that's my details on LinkedIn. Thank you. I was going to say, Emma, should I be handing over to you?
I think you're not unmuted, Emma.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I'm not used to using Zoom, so it's a bit different from Teams that I normally use. Can you see that screen? Is that okay now, Sarah? Thank you. So hi, everybody. It's been lovely listening there to Anne and Malin and Lucia. And so I'm Emma Norton, and I've been asked to deliver some slides for you guys about what it's like marketing internally if you're in an organization, because I understand it's a mix of people today who are in organizations and people who are self-employed and so on. So I'm Emma Norton, I'm the lead trainer for Manchester City Council. and I'm in the Human Resources Organisational Development and Transformation team. It's very long-winded, isn't it? But I guess we're all about trying to change how the workforce behaves, and we've got a very large workforce of over 7,000 full-time equivalent, because we've got some people who might only do 2 hours a day, for example. But so far, we have trained and certified over 4,000 of our staff, and that allowed us to reach gold standard carbon literature organisation in March. And that training includes counsellors and senior leaders, and our training's led from the top down. So the idea was it's the counsellors, the senior leaders, the managers who get the training first, and then it sort of goes, they then get all their teams involved. Our training's led by Councillor Tracy Rawlins, who's the executive member for Clean Air Transport Environment. And our training was became corporately required in 2019 when Manchester City Council declared a climate change emergency. So that means all our new starters must attend the training as part of their induction, and they've got 3 other sort of induction type courses that they attend, and that equates to about roughly 80 staff a month, roughly, that must do that training. So we've got a kind of mixture of how we're recruiting people. And the photo there shows us picking up our gold award and feeling very proud there back in June at the celebration event. So thinking about carbon literacy promotion and publicity, I like to link to good news stories, share successes, share, what teams have had training, which teams are now 100% certified, share some case studies and actions that people have done. And as a trainer, it's like a learning experience. You're learning all the time from what people are bringing to the training and telling you. So, share that back with the organisation. We link to corporate as well as local priorities, and we've got a climate change action plan that links through all our different directorates, be it highways or housing or HR and so on. So we've got a kind of plan of how we're getting to net zero, because all of Greater Manchester, not just Manchester, is aiming to be zero carbon for 2038. So we're sort of really honing in on that, and training our staff is part of and Manchester becoming zero carbon for 2038. And I've just put pictures in of of different days of training. So the picture there shows staff from the work and skills team doing training. So quite often I'll be training a team as opposed to just a group of people from across the organisation. So some of the things I'm going to say, probably repeating what Anne and Malin and Lucia have already said. So partnerships, persistence, patience. Develop those good networks and partnerships with your colleagues, with managers from other teams, and the comms team. The comms team are your best friends, because you need the comms team in different departments and directorates to be supporting you with your posts, so that you're getting your voice out to across the organisation. We offer flexible training options. So we offer face-to-face training at the Town Hall Extension. That's probably 2 or 3 times a month, online training once a month, and service-specific training where a manager will come and say, can you do a day of training with these staff members? So we try and keep it flexible. I would say it's trial and error, as with everything in life. But be patient and persistent with your marketing and publicity. And what I've found is, sometimes I got hold of like the email list for the 150 senior leaders, and I was like, fantastic, sent out an email. And, the next day I was waiting for responses and I had 1 response. But what I found is some of those people are responding to me 9 months later. So, in a big organization, your voice might be there. They might have heard you. They're just not going to respond to you straight away. And offer training to teams when a manager attends the training or during an informal chat. So, trying to hook them in. And sometimes that verbal, personal, direct contact works far better in a big organization than emails. And the picture here just shows service-specific training for staff who will work at one of our day centres. So our training is quite different. Our groups of, our groups of staff can be very different on different days. So we are kind of making it bespoke, even though we're an internal training, it's still different for different teams. So keep your comms messages consistent, keep it regular so it stays in people's minds. Carbon what? I think Lucia said this. Explain what it is, because a lot of people are like, what is it? I don't know what it is. I don't know what this training is. So explain what it is and why it's important. I send out internal comms via newsletters and broadcasts at least fortnightly. But what I send in might get edited. So sometimes I get the full thing that I've sent and a picture, and sometimes it's just reduced down to one line, depending on how much space they've got for their newsletter that week. I try and email the managers regularly. I try and follow up really quickly on chats, meetings, trainings, alter the messaging for different audiences. So AI or Copilot, whatever AI you've got, Copilot can be very good for you can say, adapt this for councillors, adapt this for parks. And, I found that's AI is a good tool to help you save time. I know it's controversial using it though. And I link to sustainable calendar events such as CLAD Carbon Literacy Action Day. Last year we promoted CLAD over 2 months, and then we had 4 days of training, and we certified 90 staff. And so the picture shows one of our cohorts, and I made a big banner just so we had like a visual connection for the 4 days of training. And I got everyone to sign the banner. So it just made it feel kind of special, because it's kind of like, for us, Carbon Literacy Action Days are a really big thing at the council, and obviously for Carbon Literacy Project, a massive thing. And so we're going to use some of those images from last year in our CLAD promotion for this year, inviting staff to join us. This is some comms that went out at the beginning of September in our newsletter that goes out to all staff, which is called the Forum. And they put in, that's the sort of wording they had. We're doing amazing things on our path to becoming zero carbon city. Join us. And then there's the link there to the Learning Hub, which is our how staff access training, because we've got loads of different training. And then there's also an advert there, some information there for Manchester Adult Education, who are doing loads of courses. So that just gives you a little bit of a feel of how people across the organisation are sort of seeing the information about carbon literacy. And the benefits. So you've got to promote the benefits. I know Malin's already talked a lot about this, but the benefits of carbon literacy within an organisation. So we've got this huge training package, cyber safety, a massive thing at the moment. So sometimes you feel like you're fighting the priorities because there's so many priorities within the team, but we align the carbon literacy with the key CPD priorities through HR, through the learning and development team. We embed it through our good manager training that we have, through our annual reports. We've got a zero carbon group for all the people that work on zero carbon across the council. And it can be very daunting. When I started in this role 2 years ago, and my remit was, your remit, Emma, is get the council to gold in 2 years. So it felt very daunting, but I just thought about breaking the organisation into small chunks. It might be that you're training 10 people 1 week, 30 people, but you'll get there eventually. I have a trainer scheme that we have across the council, where we have around 15 volunteer council trainers who deliver the training monthly as volunteers. And without them, I would struggle to do the volume of training we do. So that's a really good thing if you're in a big organisation, and it's about developing their skills as well, so that they can lead training for their team or in other departments or other trainings. So it's a really good scheme. The pictures show some of our trainers there. And what they also do is they bring through their word of mouth recommendations to their team. And I know we've mentioned word of mouth, but word of mouth is one of those vital, elusive ingredients to all our publicity. We need word of mouth, because if everyone's going around saying, oh, that training's rubbish, they're not going to come on it. We need people going around saying that training's really good, you need to go on it. And I link to the bigger picture. So for all of us, we're doing training because we're passionate about climate change. We're really aware of climate change. We want to make a difference. So keep that momentum going. You're doing great things. Your enthusiasm, dedication, and inspiration can make all the difference. Sell the benefits to the organisation of having sustainable staff, and link it to not just the organisation, but the climate, the world. And I bring in local examples. So in Manchester, we've seen flooding this year. We've been in drought for most of the year. We've seen wildfires on our moors. And that's the same picture in the UK. That's the same picture in Europe, and so on. So we kind of keep linking to that. So yeah, linking beyond the organisation to what's happening nationally and globally. Carbon literacy training is happening globally, and you're the person who's going to bring it to your organization or to your company and grow it. And I just used an example here. 3 years ago, when I was one of the volunteer trainers, the lead trainer at the time said, oh, have you heard of Tree App? And she got me linked into Tree App and planting a tree for free every day. And I've been doing that for 3 years now. And I think yesterday I planted tree 1070. So I never expected it to get that big, but that's made a massive impact. And that's a really interesting thing to be involved in. So when you're training, you've just got to think you're starting small, you're building up gradually. Hopefully you'll then get to bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and so on. So good luck, everybody, with your journey. And I'm going to stop sharing now and come out of there. Thank you very much, everybody. Oh, that hasn't stopped sharing, has it? Do I need to escape and then stop sharing?
No, you're all good, Emma. Don't worry. Thank you so much to Emma, to all of our speakers, and Sarah for organising the event as well. I hope everyone's gained a lot from this and really appreciate you coming along. We're just going to reshare the slides so we can tell you about our next trainer event.
I think we're going to do questions first.
We're going to do questions before that. Okay, no problem. Yes, if anyone's got any questions to any of the speakers or to Sarah or to myself, feel free to put your hand up, and we can go around the room, or if you put your question in the chat as well, we can try to answer it there as well. Does nobody have any questions? Wow.
I wanted to apologise for taking the vote down, but I put it in the chat if anyone does want to add to it. I think we're at about 23 people in there, and there's 40 participants. If anybody wants to add where their best channel is, that would be good.
Thanks, Annie. Annie's put a question in the chat asking, what would you say is your most successful strategy? So I think this would be a question to Emma, Anne and Malin and Lucian. If anyone wants to dive in with an answer first.
Gosh, I have to say I'm really tactical, which is quite amusing because I did marketing for my job. So I know that's not the best way of doing it, but I have found, I don't know, people probably aren't the same age as me, but there was a book that Steve Peters did in the 1990s called One-to-One Marketing. And I have to say, I try and tailor things to that individual. So, and I find that's most successful. That's really for trying to get around those 7 touches. So, yeah, I will tend to approach people direct and just say, look, this is how it suits your company. And obviously, you know, if you get that one person, almost regardless of who they are in the organization, that word of mouth, once they've been on your course, may then get you the sort of corporate business that is what we all want. So I've had a few instances where that's happened. I've had somebody on BMW from BMW who then got me BMW work thereafter. So that's my best strategy.
That's really interesting. Thanks, Anne. Did any of our other speakers want to give a perspective on that one, or?
I would say that I would just agree with that. I think the more targeted you can be, the better the impact, basically. We have, for some businesses, we've even offered the course for free for one person, to get that buy-in with an individual, exactly the same as Anne just talked about in terms of, trying to get in with an organisation and helping sell it. Because as we all know, once you've done the training, you kind of get it, you get the impact, and sometimes it can be hard to sell that, without the experience. So yeah, I completely agree with that.
Thanks, Malin. Another question has popped up in the chat from Georgina. Just if anyone, and I guess this could be opened out into the full room, if anyone has any tips on how to handle comments from climate change deniers on things like Facebook ads. Georgina's saying they attract quite negative and rude comments sometimes, and at the moment their strategy is just to hide them. But yeah, if anyone has had a similar experience and used a different approach, please do feel free to put your hand up and share.
Yeah, I'm afraid this really riles me. I get it on LinkedIn quite a lot. I mean, I don't even do paid ads, so it must be even worse if you're paying to get promotion and then people are jumping on it. I mean, on LinkedIn, I do now tend to block people if I think that they're just, there are repetitive answers. I used to sit there and try and argue, put actual facts forwards. And then I realized that actually, I mean, possibly it was a bot anyway, because quite a lot of bots are doing that now. So they're not actually logical and you can't reason with them. And also, it was actually damaging my mental health. So I kind of went, well, this really is not worth engaging in. And it's difficult because partly you're going, well, it's a comment. So therefore, is it amplifying my social media post? But and for people where I think they're open to discussion, I tend to put in, well, I certainly used to put in links to factual articles so that I would be taking it away from me and just saying, read this. This is by, BBC, Sky, news agencies that hopefully people will trust in, and articles there, or I will show them graphs. So I tend to, thanks, Sarah. I'm seeing you say don't engage, block, report, and move on. I mean, so I tend to put something up like that. So that's what I do.
Thanks, Anne. That's again really helpful answer there. And we've had some tips in the chat as well, which is lovely. Thank you. We've also had a question from Lucy. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lucy, but this is sounding kind of like a general question, or is it specifically with marketing?
It was just a general question that came from thinking about marketing and how to get out there, really.
Yeah, so Lucy's put, I'm a new facilitator looking for opportunities to deliver and assist with training, and what's the top tip of advice that all our lovely trainers in the room can give?
Lucy, you're coming on one of my courses in November. So I mean, it's quite nerve-wracking going from your first facilitation to actually running a course. I mean, hands up, but in many ways you do just have to get on with it. I mean, I did it for a group of 6 people originally who were all friends, and actually the feedback that I got from it was amazing. I was so stressed about it for weeks before I actually did it. And then I was worrying about how many people I had on it and all of those sorts of things. But really, the quicker that you can get going yourself, the better, really. That would be my top tip of advice. So, and as I said in my presentation, if some things don't work, try again. So it is tricky. And I don't know, I mean, I know that CLP does some you have some roles where, you know, you put forward facilitators if people are looking for extra help. I mean, I don't do that many face-to-face courses, but when I do, I sometimes need a facilitator. But I must admit, my partner does it for me. He's now a CLF. So, so see if you can get in on that.
Thank you.
Helen, do you want to come in?
Yeah, thanks. I have a question. I was just wondering what the panel members and other experienced trainers in the room are finding in terms of their perception of the market, their perception of how many organisations are looking for training at the moment, maybe in comparison to previous years. We've been having those conversations on the side, I think, amongst the trainer networks. It'd be really interesting to get people's views on that. Perhaps I could ask Malin first and then maybe pass to Anne and Lucia. And Emma, of course. Oh, but Emma has not got the same kind of apologies, Emma. I guess it would be very different for you.
Yeah, of course. Go for it. We've got about 3 to 4 minutes and then we'll just wrap things up. So if you can squeeze it into then, that'd be amazing.
Fine, I'll be very fast. So we have 2 open courses, and one of them is really challenging at the moment to fill, and the other one less so. So I think I think it feels a little bit trickier. Certainly this month has felt quite quiet, or I'd say that, or rather August felt quite quiet. And I mean, I'd be interested to know what other people are finding too, to be honest. But like I said, you know, one of them, we've got B2B course, which is doing relatively well, and we've got one for the built environment, which is a lot more challenging to sell. So I think it does depend on what sector you're in.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think it's feeling, you know, I've seen quite a lot of people who, dare I say, and recently being made redundant and things like that. I think companies are struggling at the moment, and sadly, marketing, advertising and training tend to be the first things that they cut back on. So I'm certainly finding it harder than I was. And yeah, I mean, people are just having to go away and ask about budgets, whereas previously they might have said, yeah, sure, I'll come on it. So that unfortunately is the environment that we're working in at the moment, where companies maybe are feeling that they need to button down the hatches a bit. It would be good if the government comes out with a bit more legislation, which I think they're maybe going to do in the next couple of months. So around things that will drive more emission friendly awareness and desire for learning. So hopefully that will improve things.
And what's the perception from the project, Lucia? Are you seeing less inquiries generally?
I think from a certification perspective and yeah, our advocacy team's perspective, there is a little bit of a lull maybe from the summer lull. We're yet to see if that's, you know, going to continue. But it's nothing out of the ordinary. Like I say, we usually see a little bit of a lull over summer. Yeah, it's good to hear from the trainers what their direct experiences is. But no, we've still got people interested, and especially sort of like existing organizations doing training are keen to like increase their carbon literacy. So yeah, obviously we have to factor in the current political climate, and I think it's obviously worth thinking again about how you're pitching the training. Obviously all the tips that Malin gave and the recent research from Climate Outreach, the New Britain Talks Climate and Nature report, I think is a really useful resource for us and for all of us in talking about and how we pitch carbon literacy in the context of climate and nature. So check that out if you haven't already.
Amazing. Thanks, Lucia. Sarah?
I just wanted to come back in on the question that Lucy asked about getting facilitation opportunities if you're starting out. You're in a great massive room full of trainers here, so brilliant that you've asked the question in this room. And if anyone in this room has any training coming up, either online or are you in Manchester, Lucy?
Yeah, I had a chat with Anne yesterday, and she's kindly let me assist with her CLAD in November, but it was just finding some more stuff as well so I can continue.
Brilliant. Yeah, so if anyone has any training that they would like some assistance on, do either pop your name in the chat or find Lucy on LinkedIn and get connected.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate everyone coming today and all the interesting questions as well. I agree, we had a really, really insightful and experienced panel, so thanks in particular to all our speakers. Just a few things before I let you go off with the rest of your day. We've got a couple of events coming up. So our next one is the 8th of October. We're having our biannual Pioneers event in person and online, and this is at the ITV buildings in Leeds. So I'm just going to post a link to sign up to that. And that should take you to the ticket page, and it's free. It's free of charge, and it's from 3 p.m. Until 5:30. So yeah, we'd love to see as many of you as we can there. And the last thing is just a bit of an ask from you. If you haven't already, we'd love to hear your feedback. If you scan this QR code, it just takes you to a short form about how this event went and how useful you found it. We always want to make our trainer events better. So yeah, it's really helpful regardless what kind of feedback you give. And as always, CLT inbox is always open and we're always here to support you. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, everyone. So feel free to leave the room.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
See you later. Thanks, Emma. Cool. Well done, everyone. Linda,
Yeah.
have you forgotten to leave or are you wanting to stay on the chat?
She
It's
might
not-
be backgrounding.
Yeah, that's
I'm
fine.
so sorry. That's my fault. I put the slightly in the wrong order. The Pioneers one was one up, so you were right and I was wrong.
No worries. Well, it kind of looked a bit like Emma's slide, so I hadn't even noticed that it was like there. So I noticed it when I was going through the slides, like as we were going through, and I was like, oh, I need to make sure I don't forget to mention Pioneers. That's why I was
Yeah.
quite like set on. So we're gonna share the slides so I could tell you about Pioneers,
Sorry.
then go into questions. But it
Because
all
I would
worked
just do it at the end to remind people to come to something else.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
that's
was great,
perfect.
guys.
Yeah, and everyone was so speedy today.
I know, I feel like the practice helped, didn't it?
Yeah, it was really
We were all
good.
on it.
Everyone was so concise and it was really clear messages. It was really good.
Yeah, it seemed great and great to be a part of it. So yeah, thank you.
Actually,
Thank you.
Good luck with the last one next week.
Yeah, and great job, Nicole. It was really brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you for making everything work.
Cool, and I will do follow up. And did you manage to take attendance?
I think so.
Oh, brilliant.
I don't think I missed anyone.
How do you do it when you're doing it live in the room? Do you just go through names and check them against?
Yeah, I just go on participants.
All right.
And did you say there was like 50 people signed up? So it was.
Yeah, well, that's including like people that have bought multi-passes. So I don't know whether they were intending to join this event or not. And yeah, so I think I sent the invitation to about 50 people.
Oh, well, good turnout then.
Yeah, I think that's what we've been having, between 30 and 40 people turn up to everyone, which is really nice.
Oh, Cool. Okay, well, I'll head off, but I just wanted to say thanks, guys, and well done.
Oh, thank you. So,
You, you.
Right. So the thing you're going to share, Lucia, that'll be just at some point before the end of the month, and I'll pop it in the pack. And from today, I'm just going to share the slides and the recording.
Yeah. So obviously there's the 2 existing resources we have. The pack might take a little bit longer. I'll let you know once that's ready.
The existing resources, remind me, is what am I sharing something there?
I think there's links in the slide notes.
Okay.
If you want to grab them from there, I think I linked them in there. But if not, drop me a message and I can send those separately.
I will find them and send them in a follow-up email. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, see you. Bye.
All right, have a good day, everyone.
All right, bye.
Ta-ra.